everybody, it's Vija Williams, and it is Wednesday at noon Pacific time, which means we are doing our Wednesday webinar. We really do need to come up with a more creative name on that one. I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving, and for those of you who joined us at our business planning session, thank you. We got a ton of really great feedback, and I know that a lot of you guys are still working through that, and that's okay. Just a reminder to not stop the activity while you're doing your planning, right? So keep doing your calls, keep setting your appointments, even if you don't have your plan completely set. And we're going to kind of continue our series. So what we've really been focused on the last few months as we've walked into business planning for the next year is taking the different lead generation tools in our tool belt, the most common ones, right? Internet lead gen, door knocking, social media, and really spending 1 hour on each one. So that, the idea is that you listen to a series of these are going to help you in your business planning. And today is our last one in that series, and it's on your sphere, the most important. We always will do webinars on sphere, but today I really wanted to bring Liz Johnson in. Welcome, Liz, first of all. I wanted to bring you in. Liz, I'm trying to find, what's the name of your book?
Oh, it's Perk Your Sphere, rewarding those
Perfect.
that reward you.
So Liz Johnson is an agent here in the Seattle area in Puyallup Lake Tapps area. And we've known each other for probably 10 years, I think, Liz.
I was just saying that. I think it's 10 or 11 years now.
I think so. Yeah. And we're both at the same brokerage here in Washington State. And Liz, I think of you in two ways. I think of you as this master farmer, real estate farmer, and this master sphere person. And so you wrote a book and you published a book that's on Amazon. And we're going to, as you guys know, every link that we offer is on benkinneyagenttraining.com. So we've already uploaded that link on there. So you can click on there. It'll take you right to Liz's book, which is very much worth the read because it's like a playbook on what we're going to talk about today. So this is that's a good companion piece to this. You can replay this if you want after you've read the book and get more insight from it. But Liz wrote a book on, how to get a 15-to-1 return on investment from your sphere. So how to 15 times every dollar you spend basically on your database in your sphere. And that's why I chose Liz for this, because it's squishy. Sometimes people are like, oh, I just keep in contact. No, she has like a whole cogent, 8-point plan that we're going to go through with step-by-step, very nuanced things, with things in here that to do and to not to do, and exactly what she does. And you can follow it, and it doesn't take long, and it doesn't take a lot of money. And I loved it so much. I wanted to have her on for that. So welcome, Ms. Liz Johnson.
Hello.
Fun fact, I think that's cool about you is you are, before you got into real estate, you were a former police officer and you served the United States. Thank you for your service in the U.S. Army.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Well, not really. It was kind of rough, but I did it.
But that's cool. That's a cool background. It's like a badass background, Yeah. Police chick, Army chick.
They teach me to have discipline.
Yeah.
In all things. Yeah.
I love that. One of my analogies that I use a lot is that I actually thought about, we're going to dive into this, is you have the Navy and then you have the Navy SEALs, right? And that's kind of what we're going to go into, what your MVP list is. And so would it be the Army Rangers for the Army?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, there you go. So I'll have to I always say Navy SEALs. I'll try to remember Army.
Oh,
Army
it's okay.
Rangers.
I'm so old and far removed from my military service. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's still pretty cool. I want to start this. I want to start this because it's one of the best first lines I've ever read in a real estate book. Do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it, or do you want to say it?
You read it.
Okay. Hi, my name is Liz Johnson and I hate cold calling. Everybody watching, like half of our people are like, amen, this is my soul sister, right? Yeah. The other half are like, what are you talking about? I dial for a living. But for those of you who like cold calling or don't like, because if you like cold calling, great, just add this to it. But if you don't, Liz has one of the largest real estate practices in Washington State. and she hates cold calling, and she used this program, right? So I think that's super, super cool. What's also cool is, you start out in your book talking about the usually the desired return on investment, or ROI, that we try to aim for in real estate. What is the normal ROI that people try to go for when they're spending $1 on something?
Well, I learned this when I started with a new coach, and when you start with a new coach, they go through like forensically through all your P&L and all your things. And I found out the goal in anything you spend real estate is like 3 or 4 to 1. So every $1 you spent, you should hope to get $3 or $4. And my coach discovered I was making a 15 to 1 rate of return. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And she goes, no, you don't understand. You have to like make this a program. You have to like write a book. I'm like, nah, I don't need to do that. And then long story short, I'm here.
That's a whole nother topic. So many people, me included, like I would love to write a book, and you just did it. And did you self-publish it, or did someone publish that?
No, I self-published through Amazon. So cool. And I was in a rush. So if you read it and you're like, there's some stuff missing, I just had to, what's that saying, that innovation is admired or execution is worshipped or something? It's like, it's better.
Okay. I'm tracking with you. Maybe Robin can look it up.
The phrase or the quote, but instead of trying to perfect it and waiting another year of more edits and more perfection, I just had to get it out there before somebody else did, because I was going to lose my mind if someone else did.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. Sorry, I'm just doing a little adjustment. Here we go. That's awesome. Well, that's great. I think that, before we start, and we're going to go into 8 steps, right? The 8 steps that you talked about. But before we start, I really liked what you said about the mindset shift that you think people have to go through with this. Do you want to jump into that a little bit before we go into the 8 steps?
As far as like going away from thinking transactionally.
Yes. More of a relationship. Exactly.
I don't know if I'm going to say what you're hoping I say exactly, because I have no script here. But what I've always done with my business, I have cold called. I can do very well at it. I just have to do a lot of hype up beforehand, like stretching, and deep breathing. And but I've always done things for the long-term goal. So it drives me nuts on these like Facebook groups we're in, where I'm like, I had a client event and we, blah, blah, blah. And people say, how many leads did you get from it? I'm like, I have no idea. It's not about that. Actually, a transaction I'm working with right now, right before our call, are people I met in 2010 at a costume contest we ran for the children. And we got everybody's info and had them vote on Facebook and stuff. Sold them a house in 2013, so 3 years later. And now again, because of my program, they've called me to sell their current home and buy another home. So it's, once you plant those seeds, it's like the farming thing. When you plant the seeds early on, my phone just rings all day. I don't pick up the phone except to answer it. I don't prospect.
So great.
Yeah.
Can I read you what you wrote in your book on that? Because I just loved it so much. You said, first, you have to go through a mindset shift. You said you have to go from a mindset shift of not chasing leads, but focusing on clients, both past and present. Mm-hmm. And then you talked about 2 things. You talked about making your clients feel special and making them feel like, and getting into relationship with them. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to add to that?
It's all about how you want to focus your time and energy. So like you mentioned in the beginning, some people enjoy cold calling and they like getting up early and hitting the phones, and that's their thing. I would rather invest that time perusing Facebook and seeing that so-and-so just found out they're having a boy, calling my assistant and saying, send them a little gift basket, congratulating them, or finding out so-and-so got married, calling the assistant saying, change her last name in the database and send them a gift. And just those little things is where I'd rather spend my time and energy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And, I think that what's also important, so keep that as a filter, you guys, as you listen kind of to when we walk through all of this. I think the other filter that I love that you kind of say over and over again, and I know you well, so I know you live this, which is, you have to be all in. You don't get to do some of this. Like it's a full contact, all or nothing sport if you want to get the results from this. And you have to really plan this in advance and make sure you're going to commit to it or don't do it at all.
Yeah, I've taught this in person back in the old days before COVID, and I've done tons of these. And I've had people call me like 18 months, 2 years later going, okay, I'm finally going to do my launch. I'm finally ready. I'm like, that's fantastic. So instead of, starting and you're not ready to start and then you have to quit, it's better to wait till you can commit, because as I think most people can agree, us real estate agents have a reputation for being flighty and flaky and not really fulfilling what we say we're going to do. So the weird byproduct of this program is I have earned business from people that have never claimed a monthly giveaway or anything because they think I'm so organized and I'm so consistent. I'm like, please don't look inside my car or at my desk at the office, because I am not. But if you do this program right, it gives the illusion that you are so squared away that people will trust you with their biggest investments.
I love that. I love that so much. So let's dive in. So we're going to walk through, Liz, the 8 steps that you talk about in your book. Again, it's, you can buy her book on Amazon. We have a link at Ben Kinney Agent Training, or you can just Google it. But let's start with number 1. What is the first thing to do?
Decide who's going to be in your group is my thing. I think, well, I don't have the book in front of me. I meant to go grab one, but the ones I have at my house are gone. Because I've given them to people in other businesses. This works for other people.
So awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah. Hairdressers, house cleaners, all sorts of, anybody who gets referrals, this works for.
I love that. So I'm going to put these in chat for us. Number 1 in the book is to create the Cool Kids Club.
Yes. Yeah. So decide who's in your Cool Kids Club. So at the time I started this, I got my real estate license in 2004. I started this in 2014. I started it because my coach at that time had pointed out that I was not getting that rate of return in the MREA book of, if you have this many people in your database, you should have this many closings just from repeat business. And, so I obviously wasn't doing a very good 33 or 36 touch or whatever they call it now. Mm-hmm. And what I wasn't doing was the phone calls, because I was like, what are you talking about? I send out an email, I send out a letter or a newsletter, I send birthday cards, Christmas cards, football schedules. And he's like, what about your phone calls? It's like, my what? So I never have had a problem calling like the buyers that closed a month ago or 6 months ago to say, how's the house? Did you guys, finish your kitchen? What did you end up doing with that thing in the backyard? But I've always had a struggle with calling past sellers that sold like dad's house that died or one of their rentals. Cause I'm like, what do I say? Like, hey, anyone else die recently? Or I don't know. I have phone phobia like most people.
Yeah, so, most people do. So, what I think we'll do, Liz, and I just finished putting it in chat just now for you. Okay. So, I think I'll list them and then we'll go back so that, because I literally read the whole book and took notes. And so, number 1 is create a Cool Kids Club.
Yeah.
And that's what we just talked about. So I think that's because number 2, we're going to talk about branding. Number 3, we're going to talk about who gets to be in that Cool Kids Club. Okay. But I think what I got from your book, going back to number 1, which is creating the Cool Kids Club, is you talk about basically creating FOMO is basically what you're talking about.
Totally. Yeah. We all have FOMO. We all want to be part of something and we don't like getting kicked out of something. So it's like you're an Alaska mileage person or you get to be in their lounge or whatever it is. And now you don't fly enough, so you don't get to go in there. You're going to find a way to fly more so you get to keep your benefits.
Oh, I'm that person. I'm literally that person.
Right. And so what this program is basically you're creating this group, this membership program, like a perks program. And you're offering, I came from a place of apology because I'd already been in business 10 years and did a crappy job of staying in touch. But if you're new, you can have a different outgoing message. But I created this thing saying, because of all your business and your referrals over the last 10 years, I feel obligated to make it my business to find items of value or events that you and your family might enjoy every month. And there's no obligation, although there becomes obligation because of human psychology. People won't keep taking from you without feeling like they have to give you something back.
Yeah, the law of reciprocity. It's in I think it's Robert Cialdini book, Influence, is it called? Persuasion, Influence. Yeah. He talks a lot. He talks about it. The study they did was when I can't remember who they were. Remember, and they used to give you flowers in the airports? Mm-hmm. The religious
the Hare Krishnas.
Hare Krishnas. They would give you flowers in the airport and people would feel completely obligated to pay them money. It's like human nature thing. And so they had to literally force them out of the airport because psychologically it was such a strong urge, the law of reciprocity, that they couldn't fight it. The pressure was too great. So they are no longer allowed to be in the airports giving flowers for that reason.
Right.
So
no, I've done it. Like these kids set up in the parking lot playing this music and I gave them money and I posted on Facebook and I got made fun of because like, that's the oldest scam. They're not playing that live. It was a tape. I go, I don't care. They took their time to set up in a parking lot. I gave them money.
Yeah, I'm all in. But the reason I like the creating the Cool Kids Club before we move on is that I think what's also cool, and I just would plant the seed, and it might just be because I know your business pretty well, is that this coupled with a farm, this is amazing because I think this works really well, Liz, like in a friend group or in a farm group where, you know, because I experience it myself sometimes, like locally, where I'm like, where are you guys all going that I wasn't invited to? Like, what, you know, and it's like, oh, so-and-so has this client event, you know, they're an agent.
We do one of the client events in the farm and other people will walk up and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, this is for my clients.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I think that FOMO, I think it's so strong. I think it's really
and
good.
one couple that came to the photo shoot, it's a family photo shoot we do in October. So they have cute cards or professional photos to put on their Christmas cards. She showed up. She goes, I finally get to do this year because we bought and sold a house with you. I'm like, yeah, you do, girl.
I love that. I love that. So number one is just create the Cool Kids Club, you know, and then number two, you talk about branding.
Yes.
So why don't you go into that?
Yeah, I like to go into that because people get stuck on this and I get laughed at because the name of my program is the MVP program and it's for most valuable partners and not players. And then I've got the all-star group and winner's circle and everybody thinks I'm like this big sports fan. I'm like, I don't know the difference between a touchdown and a home run, but my clientele are I call it blue collar with money. So I live in Pierce County. I don't know where we're broadcasting to, but
all over the world,
all over the world. We're wow, look at me, this international. But somebody might be a millionaire, but they drive an F-350 and not a BMW.
That is so Seattle area.
Yeah.
So
especially my neck of the woods in Pierce County. Like, we like our beer and we like our pickup trucks. Yeah. So for me to have a group that was like diamond, platinum, and do caviar tastings, they'd be like, what happened? What? I don't want to eat fish eggs. Ew. I have to do things. I branded my program to match my clientele, not me. If that makes sense. So, and people, I have a Facebook group called Perk Your Sphere Mastermind. People are always asking, like, let me get your list of giveaways or your list of events. I go, I can, but my giveaways aren't going to be your giveaways because my clientele, for whatever reason, I think because we attract what we are, very alcohol based. A lot of our giveaways are wine, liquor, whiskey, all sorts of stuff like that, or tastings. And if you're in Utah or you've got a very like heavy Mormon clientele, that might not work.
That wouldn't work. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What I do say though, with the branding also, the name of your program should match your current branding with what you're doing and who your clientele are, not necessarily you.
You know, it's interesting you're saying this, Liz, because I also teach a lot on all of this. And I, for the longest time, have talked to people about the fact that, you know, your branding is your target market. It's really meant for them, not you. This isn't necessarily individual expression. It can be to a certain degree, but really it's always about our clients first, everything, including how is your look and your feel and your activities that you do, how is that going to minister to them, to their needs? You know, are they comfortable? And what I do here, and now you and I are about, you know, I don't know, an hour apart, 45 minutes apart. And here in, I'm in right pinpoint, like Seattle, Bellevue, Kirkland. And here it's just high tech. It's Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, right? And I started researching when I was kind of doing my branding, like what are they used to seeing internally? And I started like Googling like internal things as well as external, like a lot of white space or black space or blue space. And Facebook's, you know, case, very simple, no script. It was all straight type. And I started just like modeling my stuff after what they were subconsciously comfortable seeing.
Yeah.
You know, primary colors. It was primary colors. It wasn't like pastel cursive, which by the way, a lot of our fellow realtors were doing back then, thinking, I don't know what they're like. That's not what people were comfortable with. That's not anything that resonated with them. Right. So I love this. Love.
And I do think there's a little bit of that individual expression. So I did.
Yeah, I know.
In 2016, I was the Liz Johnson Group LLC. And now I'm Liz Keeps It Real. And I've got a cute little caricature. And I got to tell you, best thing I ever did for my business, because when people call me to come help them with buying or selling, they know I'm going to give it to them straight. So I don't get those super thin skin, sensitive, you have to be kind and patient. I'm not kind and patient. Yes, I'm kind. I'm not patient.
You are. No, I get it. I get it. But even then, so I love that. And you're absolutely right. There is an element of self-expression, but if I may, what you're doing is they know what they're going to get. You're showing them what they're going to get with you. So in a way it is about them.
Right. And because that we're on the same wavelength.
Right.
Straight. I give it straight.
And so I think that the reason we're spending a little bit more time on this, it might feel like an intangible, but is because this is the filter by which the rest of this discussion is is filters through, right?
Well, and I've said in my other classes, like if you don't have branding yet, if you're pretty new and you're not really sure who you are yet, now's the time to figure it out.
Yeah. It reminds me of, and then we'll move on to number 3. It reminds me of, I got a huge aha earlier this year talking with Katie Lance, who we had on a couple times, who's a social media expert. She's really, really talented. And she kind of specializes in social media in the real estate space. And she gave me an aha when she basically said, look, when you set up your social media, the line of thought is, especially Instagram, what are people, you want them to know what they're going to get when they come to you. So are they going to get, it could be like real estate mom coffee. It could be whatever, but if someone says, you know what, I feel like real estate mom or coffee, I'm going to go to Vija's account. Most of us are not that, like it's everywhere, right? But the accounts that do really well, like you look at BuzzFeed Tasty, or you look at some of those like luxury home sites that have all the home pictures on them, you know what you're going to get when you get on there. Same thing with branding for anything we're doing. You may say that's self-expression, and I agree, but it's also showing people just understand immediately what they're going to get when they call or reach out to you. Right.
Exactly.
I love it. So it's a very good branding for that reason, not because, this isn't about winning, you may win 20 brand awards or none. Doesn't matter. That's not what it's about. It's about, are you portraying who you are? Can they know what to expect? And is that enough for them to reach out to you? Like, is it resonating with them? Right.
Yep.
All right. So we spent a little much time on that, but okay. So number 1 is create the Cool Kids Club. Number 2 is branding. Number 3 is who gets to be in the Cool Kids Club. Let's talk about it. What is it called? Let's dive into it. This is the gist of it.
So I decided, the person I got this idea from, I had to tweak it because he had way deeper pockets than me. And I was living literally commission check to commission check. Before I started this program, I closed 23 deals that year before. When I started this, I launched it in March. I did my launch in January, first giveaway and event started in March. And there's a little bit of time for it to ramp up. I closed 38. Now I'm closing over 100 deals a year. But where was I going with that? I had no money. I had zero money. So I decided that, does anybody remember the old Buffini script of the mayor?
Oh, by the way.
No.
By the way.
If you knew somebody that were to buy or sell real estate or if you were, anyway, would I be your realtor that you would use or refer? Mm-hmm. I'm totally bungling that up. But that was my litmus test so it was people that closed deals with me, people that referred me, and people that tried to close deals with me. Like, let's say they listed their house, but then they had to cancel the listing because they didn't get that job opportunity. So they didn't close with me, but they showed me if they were going to use a realtor, it was going to be me. Mm-hmm. So that, or people, like I've even included people I just met, like at networking groups. They're like, oh, thank God, I finally have a realtor I can refer. I included them in. So the fair question being, if you knew somebody that needed to buy or sell real estate, or if you were to, am I your person? If they say no, my daughter-in-law just got her license, they're not in my program. Then
they're fired. Then you're fired.
Yes. They still stay on my 36 touch though.
Yeah.
So they're just not getting the extra special treatment. So, we're not going to talk about the launch yet, right? That's like number 7, I think, or 8.
Yeah, it's in chat. It's all in chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was my litmus test. The guy I got the idea from, he had his whole farm in there, but I couldn't afford to do what he was doing because he had very deep pockets and I had to be on a very strict budget.
Okay. So basically, you create the Cool Kids Club, you've got all the branding, and then by deciding who, you're basically like, you do the mayor campaign, do you have an agent you refer to? Could it be me? Yes. Then are they automatically in?
Well, in the launch phase, I sent out, so I'm skipping ahead a little, but I sent out a letter and an email, and then I time blocked a whole week to call all those people. I think I had 174 people that I chose. Oh, I didn't include people that closed with me that I never wanted to speak to again. We all have those people. They were not in my Cool Kids Club.
We do. Yeah, we do.
So I called each and every one. And when we talk about the launch, I'll go into that more. But during those calls, some people did say, oh, no, I just got my license. I'm a realtor now. I'm like, oh, okay, we'll scratch you off the list.
Yeah.
Let me know if anything changes. So that is how I developed my list. And it's always changing. So people are always coming in new, and then people are leaving.
So it's a living and breathing organism. It's not a static
calendar item once a quarter for me and my director of ops to go through the list again and figure out if there's, because we just announced our pie giveaway November 1st. And there was a couple people claiming pies that were clients of agents that left the team a while ago. I'm like, they shouldn't have been getting this email, but
so be it. So just to give everybody an idea, how many people are in your total database and how many people are in the MVP tribe?
Okay, this is going to make some people cringe, but my database, my goal almost every year is to make it smaller.
Okay. So what is it?
It's at about 3,000 right now.
Okay.
I used to keep everybody forever. And now I'm like, I've even had recent sellers that have moved out of, like, they packed up in an RV. They're never coming back. They're not the referral type, never going to see them again. I have no reason to call them. Or like people that they called me for a listing appointment. They hired someone else. The house closed. They don't need to be in my database. I'm not a hoarder.
So 3,000 are in your general database. How many, give or take, at a given time are in your MVP list?
About 600, 650.
So about 20%.
Yeah.
Right. About 20.
Yeah. And some of the people in my database are also vendors or other realtors. So stuff like that.
Well, that works. I mean, it's all ROI. It's all referrals, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that I think helps. So, by the way, on a side note, everybody, your database, your CRM will never be clean. And I think that you got to get over that. I have so many people saying, I just need to clean up my database. I have too many tags. You can't have too many tags. Databases are designed to have like a gazillion tags. You can segment them in every way. Don't get rid of your tags. And they're living and breathing documents. Take the pressure off yourself that they're ever going to be done. They will never be done. I love the way Liz is like, no, some come, they go. It's just, you just have to have audits and regular process, right?
Like time block time to do, because what was happening is when it was really out of control, the analogy I used would be like opening up the fridge and there's a few new groceries in front, but all behind that is rotten, moldy food. And I would just slam the refrigerator.
Oh, I relate to that so much.
So when the fridge is clean, I get in there and I can call my database because I'd open it up and I'm like, oh, he died. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to call anybody now. I'm all sad because Tom died. Yeah. So we have to keep it pretty clean or else I will not get in there.
But it's never completed, right? Because you're continually, you're adding to it and you're getting more business. I mean, if you're selling 100 homes a year, and kudos, that's great. Yeah. That, 5 years, that's 500 transactions, right?
Yeah. So exactly. So it's never perfect, but it is something that for me and how I'm wired, I do have to keep it. I can't have too much moldy people in the database.
So we figured out, that we have this MVP group that maybe 10 to 20%, of your total database. Number 4 thing is gifts, monthly giveaways.
So we do a monthly giveaway. And I say in the book, it's not about the gift, but it's kind of about the gift. So the purpose of the gift is to get face-to-face with your clientele. So the gift has to be good enough to get somebody off their butts on their lunch hour or whatever and come to your office or meet you for coffee or happy hour, whatever, to get the gift. But the gift should not break the bank. So in that group I have on Facebook, people are like, I got Instapots. And I'm like, why? Because when I started this, my budget, I had Vulcan 7 because I was cold calling, $300 a month. I took that and shifted it here. So 150 of that was for the giveaways and 150 of that was for the Starbucks rewards, which we'll talk about later. So my goal was to either get 10 things for $15 a piece or 15 things for $10 a piece. But when I say 10 or $15 a piece, that's the discount I negotiated or the Groupon I got or the crazy deal I scored, etc.
So you started all of this with a budget of $300 a month that's amazing.
Yep. And within 3 months, I had 32,000 in escrow from it.
So hold on. Can I do math really quick? Let me do math. So if you have 600, let's just say 600 people in your MVP list. Okay. And I divide that into 12. I'm not a math, genius, but that's 50 a month. Mm-hmm. Right. And so to me, if you're doing 50 times 10, that's 500 a month. So are you proposing that you start with a smaller number of people if you don't have a big budget?
No, because when they're gone, they're gone. Not everybody gets one. It's first come, first serve. So I'll say I have 12,
okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I have 12 dozen roses for February. Let's say I have 12 of these in vases. Who wants one? And when they're out,
I love that.
So, but sometimes if somebody's in my top 20%, which when I wrote the book was just starting to appear, the 80-20 principle was showing up in the program, I would go to the store and get that person roses, even though I didn't get them at the discount I got the other ones at. if that makes sense.
I love that. And so, and is it always gifts, like tangible gifts, or do you sometimes give experiences like you mentioned a photo shoot earlier?
So we do events too. And I do spend more money on the events because I get more time. So the photo shoot is one of my favorites because we book by the hour. So these 5 families are from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Nobody's ever on time. And I have an open tab at the espresso place right there. And so we'll sit and have coffee while they're waiting for their turn.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's so great. I spend, that ends up being about $700 for that monthly event. But it's
still, that's such a great, that's still not.
Have those photos framed in their house. They are subliminally, subconsciously remembering that experience and that it was with me.
I love that so much. I may
some of the
copy
tangible things I still get tagged in. Gifts we gave away like 4 years ago. Like there'll be a picture like, I still got my bag. And I'm like, hey, I forgot we sent that out, but yay you.
You know, one of the best things that we gave away is really nice quality. For years we did it, doormats. You know, like front doormats, and people always think of you because like they're coming and going. And so I get a lot of messages on that. And I heard a really good one the other day. Mark Johnson, one of our phenomenal agent out of our Tacoma office. He does this really great thing. He's a member of a country club, and he books this big table every Valentine's Day for all of his database who forgot to make reservations and all the restaurants are full. Yep. He has this whole thing where he's like, okay, this is open to like 10 couples. I have a table of 20, me and my wife are going to be there, and it fills up every year. And I just think stuff like that is such a good idea.
Yeah.
It's such a good idea.
And people ask this question all the time. Don't people get mad if they missed out? Not one person has ever bitched me out.
Yeah.
They understand it's first come, first serve. And the key, and I say this in the book several times, it's not a contest or a drawing. There's a whole gaming commission situation with that, depending on your state. I don't want any of that. So it's a giveaway. It is as though I caught some big salmon on an Alaskan fishing trip, and I can feed 12 people with it at my table, seats 12. You're welcome to come. It's not a contest. It's not a draw.
Got it.
Yeah.
Special. You also talk a lot in your book about co-branding, because you've kind of alluded to it a few times about co-branding with, and you mentioned it earlier, like where your budget might be $10, but the thing might be worth $30 or $20. So how does that work?
Well, like one of my friends, she's a chemist and she developed her own skincare line. So we've done it twice now in January, like new skin, new you, new face, new you. And it's getting her name and branding out to people that she might not have reach with. And then we put all her stuff in the little packaging so they get to try all the samples. And then they're like, oh my God, my skin's never been so amazing. And then she has new business. So we get those types of things at a discount from those people. And it becomes a win-win-win. So it's a win for us because we look like heroes. It's a win for the client because they got some free stuff, and it's a win for the distributor because they are potentially getting new business. So same with the photographer on the photo shoot. People pay for the fee and one print. And when people love their photos so much, they order more prints and they book her later because now they're going to have their baby and they want newborn photos. So we get the discounts.
Let's just dive into the launch phase, right? And, I think that, before we start this, that we should talk about the fact that you feel strongly, you talk about it a lot in your book, and I completely agree, by the way, that you should not do this yourself. Like, this is the normal average realtor needs someone to administer this for them, right? And you should also not launch until you are completely prepared to go the whole distance, right? And to just deliver everything you promise, because the worst thing you can do is launch it and announce it and say you have MVP or you have all-star, whatever, and then not deliver.
Yep. And it's happened to quite a few agents because of that. I'm in that group I have, and people have admitted, like, I fell off the wagon, I stopped doing it, and trying to relaunch and sound committed, people lose trust. So I did start this with just a part-time assistant. So a lot of it still was me. And then there was a time in between assistants where I had to run it. So it's possible, it's just not sustainable. Because, and what I've told other people is, if you're one of those agents that swears they're never going to have an assistant and they're always going to touch all their own things, then this might not be for you, because it's going to blow up on you.
Sometimes you can have spouses or, teenagers, or whatever.
Right. But you got to have a plan. So like, we make sure and have at least 6 months of giveaways lined up. And I always make sure I have some random backup in my garage. Like,
oh, I love that so much.
Yeah, I had these trunk organizers I got on Groupon for that, because they weren't going to go stale or rot, or they were timeless. There was nothing, they weren't seasonal. So one time when our shipment of what we wanted didn't come in, we just did those and they were a huge hit. So have a plan and stick to it. But the launch is super important that you're organized, because this is your reputation on the line. So I sent out a letter and then an email. They said the same things, and I sent them to everybody. Some people I only had an email address for. Some people I only had a mailing address for, but if I had both, I sent both, because you never know if they don't work at that place anymore and their email address changed. After those went out, I waited about a week, and then I called everybody. I time blocked 4 straight days, about 4 or 5 hours a day, just hitting the phones. And so it was like 80% of the people had no clue what I was talking about. Either they hadn't checked their mail, or they read the letter and were confused. They're like, what does it cost to join? But most people needed explaining to what it was going on. And then I'd get.
So would you have done it differently? Would you have, like, in retrospect, was that a good thing? Is that just to be expected? Or is there a way to word it? Would you have worded it differently moving forward? Or
no, I've read it again, because I was like, did I screw that up? And to me, it's crystal clear.
People just skimmed it then.
Yeah. Like, I was like, there's no obligation. This is a thank you in arrears for all the business. And a question that comes up from people are, do you send that to people that closed business with you and never gave you another referral? I go, hell yeah, I did, because I'm teaching them that that's what everybody else is doing. So they should do it too. Because most people don't know that we work by referral. So,
well, that's right. I love that. So if we were going to get methodical, and I think we're blending 7 and 8, because like we're, number 8, just to like give you the spoiler, is email communication and checklists. Mm-hmm. And so, when we're talking about the launch phase, right? Like, what does that actually entail? Because the notes I took from your book I had 3 points under that. Tell me if what you think. Number 1 is, you just have to decide who are the MVPs, who are the all-stars, mm-hmm. Figure that out periodically. Number 2 is you have to message to them, figure out what that message is. And then number 3 is that 8x8, that we talked about, which I think 8x8s were designed because it takes an average of 7 messages for people to act, which is why when you called them and they were confused, you weren't at the 7th message. So that's great. You were able to stop it,
Yeah. And then I sent them another email later to remind them to get excited, because I'm a marketing geek and a commercial geek. I love all those things. So if you really watch commercials or launches for a new place, or an event, like with our different brokerages and stuff, there's a lot of hype up into the thing. So this is the same thing. You got to create that hype. You got to tell the message so many times that they're like, oh yeah. And honestly, I guess I would do it a little different. I would have more of a launch than I did, because the first giveaway I had 15, and they were hard to give away. People were like confused, and it took the best analogy is kind of like the people that stick their toe in the water and like, I don't know, maybe but after about 3 months, people are like, oh, she really does give away cool things, and I really don't have to do anything. Okay.
Consistency is so important. You just, that's why I love what you said before you launch anything like this. You just have to be committed. That consistency, people start trusting and believing you with that.
Yep. They had to see.
I love that.
Yep.
And I should also say, I think what's great about your book is in your appendix, you literally have templates. You have how to word the emails, right? And how to do all that, which is great. And it doesn't sound like you would change anything.
Not really. I mean, but I want people here to, and so some people are like, well, it's so vague. I want your list of this, or I want this, or I want that. I'm like, I want you to make this your own. I didn't get a blueprint when I started this, and I'm not the smartest person in the room. And I was able to figure it out. I'm even not allowed to touch Excel spreadsheets. And I made an Excel spreadsheet for the Starbucks rewards about who started on what day and what day they get the 60-day email and what day they get the 30-day email and when it expires. And yeah. And I'm not
okay. A little plug for Brivity, our company tech. You can just do that on auto plans. You know, you can trigger an auto plan and then you can say 60 days from this and whatever, and you can trigger reminders.
That's sexy.
Actually, most CRMs have that. It's not just
I'm sure it does. I'm me.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
Actually, and my girls might have that.
They probably are doing it. We don't even know. And that's our point of having someone else, not us.
I'm like, send out the 60-day email. They're like, okay.
They're like, yeah, let's just make her feel good.
On it.
Literally, that wasn't sent already, and it's like automated and whatever. Okay, I love this. So okay, walking through again. So the 8-point plan.
Yeah.
To 15 times, because you've calculated how much you spend on everything you talked about, and you make income that's 15 times what you've spent, correct? That's what, so, you know, when we say 15 to 1 ROI, that's what it is. $15 for every $1 you spend. I'm
giving everybody a thing. So I still, even after all these years, I've been doing this 7 years now, some giveaways, well, I've learned what are hits and what aren't hits. But still sometimes they flop. And I'm like, really? I thought this was amazing. What's wrong with you? And then
wait, actually, before I like recast the 8, what are the hits and what are the flops?
The roses in February are always a hit because that's, well, here's the other thing. The main post on my Perk Your Sphere Mastermind complaint post is it's the same 10 people answering up every month. And I always answer, you're buying the same crap every month. So you have to, like, I buy certain things that I know will get the roses, get the men out of the database.
And your skincare probably gets more female.
Yep. I'll buy some old people things to get old people out of the database. I will get some young people, millennial stuff to get them out. So it can't make it all things.
So Reader's Digest giveaways versus, you know, TikTok giveaways. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I was just at my kid's school and I found there's TikTok cookies. I have learned. Yeah. There's cookies that made it really big on TikTok and they're really good. I can't remember the name of them, but I'll try to find them. I know.
I tried TikTok pasta the other day, but yeah. So some of the giveaways, I'm like, meh. And then I go, that's perfect. Because I don't want all of just me people answering up for the giveaway. But
so the roses are good. What else has been a big hit?
The mani pedi or just pedicure gift certificates for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I'm able to get those at a discount because I tell the nail person, nobody's going to come by themselves. You're going to bring mom or their sister or a girlfriend. And these are people that don't already come here. So give me the discount. So sometimes it's a little bit of a fight. But I did that with the golf course people too. They were giving me a hard time. I go, look, nobody's going to come golf by themselves. Then they're going to rent a golf cart. Then they're going to drink your liquor in your bar. And they're like, okay, lady, okay, here. And now they call me because they're like,
you're such a hustler. I love it.
I'm Jewish.
I love it. I love it. I love that.
Yeah.
So what was a flop?
Oh, these books on retiring. Because I was like, this is, I love money and I love financial peace. So I was like, this will be great. No. What else? Oh, I thought they were fantastic. I even have one at my house. They were these cute aprons that had all these gadgets on them, like a bottle opener and a bottle holder and a few other like gizmos. And they were a flop.
No. Oh, right. Okay. Well, that's what we just learned, trial and error. And it sounds like your Facebook group, you guys bounce that off of each other so you can learn from each other. Yeah. Okay. So so the 8 steps, Liz, are number 1, create the cool kids club. Number 2, branding. Yeah. Number 3, figure out who gets to be in your cool kids club. Number 4, monthly gifts and giveaways. They can be experiences or things. Mm-hmm. Number 5, budget, ROI and budget. Number 6 is All Stars rewards and RESPA. RESPA is a very unsexy topic, but we have to know it. Number 7 is the launch phase, and then which is like implementation. And then number 8 is just have email communication and checklist, like we talked about, however that's going to be organized, have that. You can get Liz's book on Amazon. Like I said, we have a link in our Ben Kinney agent training.
And it's on Google too.
It's on Google too. Okay, good. I am going to literally implement some of this. I think that out of all the Sphere stuff I hear, and we have some really good people for Sphere on here, what I like about yours is that it's a very structured process. And it's not, like anything, it's simple, not easy, but it's not, anyone can come in and dive in and do this. So it's great. So people can get a hold of you where? What's your website?
LizKeepsItReal.com.
I knew that. I just wanted you to say it. It's so cute. It took me a while. I'm like, oh, I get it. Like real estate, like Liz Keeps It Real.
Yeah. Well, the website, I think it says Liz Keeps It Real, and then it says estate. And my Facebook page says that too. It's in one font, and then estate is after it.
That's super
cute. And then the Northwest region copied me. Did you?
Oh, they did?
Yeah. Have you seen that Keeps It Real estate?
No.
Emails?
No.
I'm like,
I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb. I'm going to go on a limb and say there's probably about 20 or 50 of those. I mean, keep it real. Like, but it's still very cute. It's very good. I love it. It fits you really well. It's perfect. So, Liz Johnson, thank you, everybody. And as always, your Sphere are your best way to keep in touch with everybody. Next week, we're going to launch into a really cool switch of topics, which has been my passion lately, and that is real estate investing. So stick with me for the next couple Wednesday webinars. We are going to have amazing people on to talk about real estate investing, and I'm going to talk about what I'm doing buying out of state. I'm just about to get into contract on my first out of state acquisition out of many. And I'm excited to talk about it. And I'm a little bit obsessed with the topic. So thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you in a week, Wednesdays at noon. Thank you.